My name is June, 32 this year, and I am a doctor. I am from Southeast Asia, Malaysia to be exact. Born and raised in a small town called Malacca. Growing up in an average, humble Malaysian Chinese family, life was pretty simple and good. Did well in school, with nothing really memorable to me, I would say. If there was one thing from my childhood that I remember most, it would be how quiet I was as a kid. And I always preferred to be alone and just watch people, observe what they do, listening to adults having conversations. I think I've carried that with me all throughout my adulthood. Like even now, I always stray away from big crowds and I enjoy good quality me time. When we talk about Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Indonesia, and in my case, Malaysia, what comes to mind, other than the exciting food culture, is of course the green, thick, dense tropical rainforests, which are absolutely beautiful. Malaysia is interesting because it is a melting pot of different races, different cultures. We've got the Malays, Chinese, Indians, and various ethnic minority groups living harmoniously together. And over the decades living together, we have developed a special and unique identity as Malaysians. The food culture is definitely something that all Asians are proud of. One particular culture I notice that has been growing rapidly post-COVID is the hiking and camping culture. It seems to me that many people have started rethinking about life and developed an appreciation for the outdoors. Being a doctor, most people assume I work all the time, which I did a couple of years ago, but now I have found the perfect job as a home care doctor, which means I am mobile and I travel daily to patients' own homes to treat them. I love my job. It's meaningful, it provides value to the community, and it gives me lots of time and flexibility to do what I love most, which is camping, hiking, and just spending time in the outdoors.
Hi, my name is Mitch. I'm 45 years old. I'm an agricultural pump technician and an avid outdoorsman. I'm from South Africa, but I was born in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. I grew up in a conservative middle-class home where I was given a lot of freedom as a child, but with boundaries. I was taught to respect everyone, despite age, color, religion, or beliefs. I was also shown the beauty and wonder that Africa has to offer. South Africa has got many varying landscapes, from the beautiful Cape beaches that stretch to the horizon, to the imposing Drakensberg mountain peaks, expansive Knysna forests, the sprawling desert landscapes of the Kalahari. Even with the tumultuous history, South Africans follow the system of Ubuntu, a concept of family and togetherness. Almost all South Africans have a passion for this amazing country, including a deep-seated passion for sport and a burning desire to protect our wildlife. South Africa is a melting pot of many cultures. We have 11 official languages. Large family gatherings is common amongst all of our cultures. These gatherings would not be complete without copious amounts of food. the most common one being a braai or barbecue. Loads of cooked meat together with many side dishes that make a table groan from the weight. Here we celebrate everything: birth, death, marriages, birthdays, our sports team, winning or losing. We will always find an excuse for a braai. After school, I wanted to study as a paramedic, but my father insisted on a trade. So I studied as an electrician. Once I'd finished my studies, my father asked me, what's next? Am I going to do an apprenticeship? I said, no, I've already signed myself up for paramedic courses. I worked for many years as a paramedic, but retired from the service so that I could spend time with my girls, who were very small at the time. Currently, I'm living in the outskirts of Johannesburg in a rural area. I work as an agricultural pump technician. My long-term plans is to start a bushcraft and survival school for both adults and children. Besides spending time outdoors, I enjoy relaxing in the garden with my girlfriend, playing with our motley crew of 7 rescued dogs, and watching the wild birds singing in the trees. I also enjoy good times singing with our friends. Well, they sing and I try to. I'm an avid bushcrafter. I really enjoy practicing primitive skills. I find it brings me closer to nature and to the ancient ones who walked this land before me. I love the simplicity of it all. Even just the simple act of starting a fire from a piece of steel and a rock, or patiently watching nature to see where they are getting their water from. I started learning my skills from a very young age. Most of my older cousins loved to spend time in the wild, living off whatever we could find. I also had a primary school friend who introduced me to skills he has acquired from his time as a Boy Scout. I went to one meeting with the Scouts and I was hooked. As an adult Scouter, I spent many evenings with the older Scouters. They had a wealth of knowledge about nature and would regale stories late into the night, drinking tea around a warm campfire. My solo adventures takes me out of my comfort zone, the artificial existence of chasing money and all the trappings that go with it. I use the time to be quiet and listen to my inner voice, to enjoy the sunrise and the sunset. I find that after I spend time on a solo adventure, my mind is calmer and clearer. I appreciate the smaller things in life, like indoor plumbing. One of my greatest dreams is to travel the world, meeting ancient cultures and learning their bushcraft and survival skills, spending time with them, learning about their culture and traditions, sharing their way of life. Sadly, most of these cultures are succumbing to the trappings of Western society.
Motley crew.
My name is Tyson Schmidt. I'm 41 years old and I work in the financial services industry. I was born and raised in a small town in Kansas. I would consider my childhood pretty normal. It was definitely a good place to grow up. The economy of Kansas is still very much made up of farming and livestock. The landscape is relatively flat, and what is not cultivated is grassland or forest. The majority of the land in Kansas is privately owned, so options are limited from a dispersed hiking and camping perspective. Kansas is definitely a friendly place to live. Plenty of things to do. Sports are a big deal around here. As far as food, barbecue is also a big deal. Grilling out, things of that nature. What our family likes to do is we have a cabin down by a lake near where I grew up, and we spend a lot of our time down there just boating, fishing, hanging out with friends. I've worked in the financial services industry for 15 years. Been in banking, mortgages, and more recently in financial services as far as investments and things like that go. It's been a good area for me, solid career, and it's allowed me to do the things I want to do financially, as well as have the time off that I need to do some of the things that I really enjoy. I consider my solo style hiker slash camper slash canoeist slash photographer and videographer. They all kind of work together to make a full experience for me. I'm really just out there to go see things that most people aren't willing to make the effort to go see and document it. It's really what I enjoy. I do it for myself. It's not really it's definitely a hobby at this point, and if that's all it is, then that's okay with me. I consider myself a completely self-made outdoors person. I didn't really grow up doing camping, hunting, fishing, things like that. Really what got me to the point where I was comfortable doing these solo trips and planning them out completely on my own, no outfitters or help in that respect, was a trip I did up into the Boundary Waters in 2019. In reality, I haven't been doing solo trips for that long. I started doing them at the age of 38, and I feel like I know a lot more now than I did just a few years ago.
I'm Sharon Evans. I come from Rotorua, which is in the centre of the North Island in New Zealand, and I'm a country real estate agent, which means I sell all property outside of the town, so lifestyle property and farms. And I presently live in the Waikato, and the town I'm living in, it's a very small village, and I'm surrounded on all sides by the most beautiful farmland. First cup of tea of the day is always the best one, and I drink green tea, lots of it. I don't drink coffee, just don't like the taste of it. Typically I'll have a cup of tea just as I start to do my meditation, just have a few quiet moments to sit. So New Zealand is made up of two main islands. There's the North Island in the South Island and some other islands as well. And our population here is about 5 million people. We've got a clean green economy. There's a lot of farming here, pastoral activities. The biggest city is Auckland, and I think there's about 1.5 million people in Auckland, whereas our capital is Wellington, which is not as large. And New Zealand is a beautiful country, and there is enormous variety in the landscape, and even though it's not enormous, But I think a lot of people when they come to New Zealand underestimate how long it takes to get places, because you might look on the map and think that's 100 kilometres, that's going to take me an hour, whereas by the time the roads tend to be very, very windy, and it can take a heck of a lot longer, and it changes constantly. So when I am planning somewhere to go from where I'm living presently, and I am in the North Island, 2 hours from where I am, I can be at the East Coast within an hour, or the West Coast from where I am here within an hour, and then if I go sort of 2 hours in either direction, there's such contrast where I can be going from the snow to the coast all in such a short space of time. It's fantastic for that. Cooking Vogel's toast always takes longer than any other toast. You sort of got to put it back in a couple of times. And butter, which is kept in the fridge, and of course it's really hard. So I'll probably end up I will have lunch on the road, so I'll probably make a wrap to take with me, and I'll be leaving. It'll be just before lunchtime by the time I'm organised to leave. I didn't have time to sort of pre-organise everything with working yesterday. Hello.
My name is Roger Sandqvist and I'm 63 years old. Been married for almost 27 years now and have 2 daughters. I'm living in the southwest part of Sweden, close to Gothenburg. In my profession, I started as an engineer and designer for airborne radar in the Swedish fighter aircraft, but then went over to the telecom industry, where I have worked with the development of 5G in recent years before I retired.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think I found a nice place for my camping. It's right close to a small lake. Here it is. What do you think?
It seems far away with no roads or hiking trails.
Yeah, that's what I like. As much wilderness as possible. So I will drive to the end of this road and then hike up to the lake there. Exciting. A lot to some. So I have to finish my breakfast and then start packing.
Yeah.
Wow. Sweden is a great country when it comes to outdoor life. First of all, we have a law in Sweden that gives us the right to camp anywhere in the forest we want, without permission from the landowner or anyone else. We are not allowed to cut down trees, but we can use fallen trees for the campfire or building shelters. And since Sweden consists of 70% forest with many beautiful lakes, there is a really good condition for wild camping. There are 4 large predators in Sweden: the bear, wolf, lynx and wolverine. The only one I've been lucky enough to see is the brown bear in the distance. But just knowing that they are out there somewhere makes it extra exciting. Så.
Kom tussar med mig också.
Jag vet inte, jag har inte
My name is Liam Lynch and I'm 31 and I work as a historic mason restoring traditional buildings, be it stone or brickwork. I'm from a small village called Woburn Sands and I was raised with my family, a sister and my 2 parents, surrounded by quite a wider Irish family and had a really good upbringing. with loads of outdoor opportunities and really, really nice local woodlands, which only compounded this interest that I'd already gained for the outdoors. Unfortunately, my sister was quite ill when I was a young child, but after she thankfully recovered, we started to do a lot more outdoor trips and go up to places like the Lake District and just adventure, go and fell walk, go sailing. So it was a really action-packed later part of my childhood. Being just outside of London in the United Kingdom in a city called Milton Keynes, it's really this kind of dichotomy of urban and outside of that really beautiful countryside and farmland that's slowly getting unfortunately transitioned into this kind of cityscape. But beside that, it really still hosts some absolutely beautiful spots and rivers and walks, local parks. And there's just so many wild spaces to explore. It's only just going out and doing just that, exploring them. So after leaving school, finishing my GCSEs, I actually went to college and studied countryside and land management, and I really enjoyed that. We did all sorts of things from fishery management to game bird rearing, forestry management, ecology. There was so many different elements, and it was a really comprehensive course, which I really enjoyed. And then actually I went to work for the Parks Trust, a local organisation for me, and I started helping them do minor forestry work and planting, all sorts of kind of outdoor skills. But funnily enough, that actually drove me to associate the woods with work, and I kind of got this tension and stopped practicing bushcraft for a few years. And it was only until I rekindled that after travelling around for a little bit, doing a few festivals and just living life as a young adult. But when I really found bushcraft again is when I started to feel really happy in myself. 3 croissants.
Thank you, mate.
That's alright, thanks for getting the croissants. Morning, Dad.
Morning, son. You right? Where are you going?
Yeah. So I'd class myself as a bushcrafter, having a general understanding of a lot of things in the woods, wild foods, fire lighting materials, woodworking skills, tree identification, combined with elements from survival, self-reliance, preparedness, or practicing fire lighting. And I think bushcraft has always drawn me because of that, able to rely on yourself outside and have the skills that if something does go wrong, you're able to, or have a little bit of an easier ride than just being completely reliant on someone else to help you. A little bit just to do my gear run through and pack up and everything, just so I can lay it all out.
Oh, well, that's nothing unusual, is it? Yeah.
Oh, no. There you go.
My name is Milad Behrouzi. I'm 26 years old, and I'm a mortgage agent and freelance videographer. I was originally born in Germany, and I moved to Canada when I was 7 with my parents and my twin sisters, who at the time were still in my mom's belly. Growing up in Canada was pretty fun, if I had to sum it up in one word. It was a little bit difficult to get acquainted with the language, but after I made a couple friends and got the language down, everything was pretty good. We lived, I would say, middle class, lower middle class. I can't really complain. My parents did everything they can, and I'm very grateful for them. I currently live in Toronto, Ontario. It has a rich history and is probably most known for its CN Tower, which used to be the world's tallest tower but has been taken over by Burj Khalifa. Nonetheless, it is still very cool. Toronto is known for its multicultural diversity, It is often referred to as the melting pot, where everybody from all around the world seeks out this destination. I would have to agree with this statement, as I have met people from all across the world. The landscape of Toronto itself is what I like to call a concrete jungle. However, if you drive just a little bit in any direction, south, east, west, north, the nature starts to get overwhelmingly beautiful. After finishing high school, I went to university for psychology. I graduated with honors, and then I went on to complete a post-secondary program in human resource management. My goal has always just been to find a way where I can help people and a way where I can make a difference. My current job is pretty different from what I went to school with, but I guess I am helping people find homes and start their futures. Most of my friends would describe me as crazy. Reason being is I've always sort of been a risk taker, not in the dangerous sort of way, but more so in the way that I like to describe myself as an experience addict. We have a very limited time on this planet, so we should be able to do everything we want without having fear holding us back. The skills I've acquired have sort of just happened organically. I watch a lot of people who inspire me. The original was Survivor Man, Les Stroud, the legend, the greatest survival expert, and the greatest survival teacher in the form of film. My solo adventures are driven by my desire to seek a form of freedom and a form of peace that modern day society, I feel, has robbed a lot of people of. I love that aspect of people telling me that you inspired me to go outside, you inspired me to do solo camping for the first time. Thank you, I was having a really shitty day and your videos are really calming. And these are all the things that I'm feeling when I'm out there, so the fact that I get to share them is another thing that drives me, because I know that although I'm doing it for me, I am helping and benefiting a lot of people, and ultimately that reflects back on me and helps me.
Hello all, my name is Pierre. I am 50 years old and work as a senior technician in the semiconductor industry. I was born in Kalkara, a small town by the sea. We were a family of 3, me and 2 sisters and my mother and my father. I was raised very good and with lot of love. This made me a better person and responsible for my actions and for my family. Malta is a very small island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. It's about 17 miles long and covers around 95 square miles. Malta has a lot of history because since being in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, it was the perfect base for ships so people can cross the Mediterranean and have a base there. So we have lots of fortifications, lots of forts, and our history starts from a very old age when we are trying to be conquered to World War II, which the Maltese have proven very brave and held the country with other allies. Malta has a very good economy It's part of the EU, even as a part of the economy. The landscape is on one side you have beautiful cliffs on the sea, and the other side where it slopes to the sea, there's hotels, there's more buildings. Malta, the sea is one of the best things you can explore and enjoy here, from scuba diving to kayaking to boating, but the hiking community is getting larger by the day and we are exploring our beautiful island. Malta is known of how friendly it is towards foreigners and tourists. People here, everybody nearly talks in English. Our main language is Maltese, and we also speak some Italian. Although with all the foreigners that come to work here in Malta now, we are getting a lot of other languages. Malta is very religious and it's Catholic. You will find lots of churches in Malta. Some of them are amazing, how beautiful they are. Our food is very good. It's come from the Italian cuisine mostly. The most famous traditional dish in Malta is rabbit. They cook it either in sauce or they fry it up. Politically, Malta is very strong, so either in Malta you are one side or another, because we have only two parties. But at the end, I think Malta is a very safe place and one that can enjoy. Now I can really give you the good morning because I had my coffee. I'm taking my sandwich, my toast. I'm checking a little bit the news and the weather because today we are going camping, yeah? So later I will get all my kit, set everything up, and then we go for our adventure, yeah?
My name is Pierre. I'm 33 years old and I have been working for 5 years now as a product manager in customized machine equipment manufacturing for wet chemical surface treatment in different sections like solar, semiconductor, medical, and I've been the product manager for the medical technology section and for electroplating. After 5 years, I finally decided to quit the job because of overworking and not really having time to really think about what I really want to do in life and what I feel like doing. Which is a small village in the northern part of Germany. I've been born there and been raised. I have two sisters and my parents. We have a small house with a garden near the countryside. So it was great. And my home was proud and my parents tried to raise us to independence, so do things for ourselves, and it felt really cool because we had a lot of freedom. We could ride with our bikes to anywhere we want for ourselves and plan ourselves. It was great. We have 40 kilometers north of Hamburg. I haven't really been traveling to Hamburg. How safe it was feeling back in the countryside. When I was 9, I I decided to go to the Scouts, which was really great, and I got in contact with camping outside, learning about fire and knives and setting up tents, learning about flora and fauna, and reading a map and compass. So that was really cool. It was also my first experience that I ever slept outside solo by myself when I was 12 years old. It was a Scout exam, and I was very proud when I passed it. It felt really great. It was the first time I was hiking completely by myself. I didn't know where I was, and I was hiking not really on paths, but somewhere in the trees. And it felt so much freedom. It felt so much like freedom. I loved it. When I was a child, next to the Scouts, I did gymnastics twice a week, I think for 6 years, which was fun. It gave me a lot of body feeling and body control, which is always good to have as a child and as a human in general. I also learned some music instruments, but that wasn't really big comfort stuff that I really enjoyed so much. I love music, I love dancing really a lot, but I'm not too skilled at that. I probably wasn't just
Hey folks, my name's James, I'm 31 years old and I work in the building and construction industry. I'm originally from the southwest of England where I was raised with my brother and sister, but I'm currently living in Australia. I was torn between two lives as a youngster. One was a country pumpkin on the farm with my dad and the other in a more built up town with my mum. I was always moving house as a child, from farm to farm or house to house, and I guess not a lot has changed since being an adult. I don't seem to want to stay in one place for too long. I'm currently living in a bus converted motorhome and have been for a couple of years. My partner and I drove down from Queensland to Tasmania last year on the start of our journey around Australia. We decided to stay in Tassie for a while. One of the main reasons for this is the hiking's so good here. It's great to be able to go on a multi-day adventure without worrying so much about finding fresh water, as there's just so much of it here. I'm a huge animal lover and the wildlife here in Australia is next level. I feel a great rush of excitement when I'm around animals in their natural habitat. I've always had an interest in bugs and small critters too, but lately I've been enjoying watching them even more. Everywhere I turn to in Tassie, I see life, and the scenery here is amazing. There is always something close by which will really blow my mind. One of my favourite things to do here is to work really hard hiking all day, with a big climb at the end, and I get to the top of the mountain with amazing views, sit down, have a bite to eat, maybe a cup of tea, relax just for a little minute. It's nice to just take it in like that. It really is simple. One of the main things I look for when I'm planning these multi-day hikes is a climb. I love to climb, it challenges me that little bit more and I know it will be rewarding once I get to the top. I look for a location where there is either a lake or a river close by. This doesn't necessarily mean I have to set up camp here, but it is nice to. As long as there's some sort of fresh water during my hike, I'm happy. That would be to drink and to cool off for a swim. I'll almost always have a dip if I can. I like to try something new each time I take a trip, so I will usually have a new piece of kit. It doesn't have to be something fancy, it's a good way to slowly upgrade my gear too. The weather's changing here and it's now autumn, so I've just bought a new sleeping mat for the cold. I'll be using it on my next trip. Another thing I look for when planning my multi-day hikes or circuits, there's nothing worse than having to come back the same way as you went out. It really is annoying. I do try to look for somewhere where I can have a fire too. It's great to cook on a naked flame. It's another one of life's simple pleasures. It just gives you a good feeling. Fires can be very restricted here as the national parks don't allow it and we do get bushfire season, so I can't actually make fire in a lot of my camps. When I head out, I do often feel a sense of anxiety and I don't really know why. Something must just make me feel a tad nervous. Once I get going though, I'm alright. During my first hour or so, I really started to regret going on the hike. It's funny I feel this way almost every time, but when I get past that first hour, I'm all for it again. I'm learning something new every time I go on these outings, which I really love. I just recently made a fire with flint and steel, which I really enjoyed. It gave me a little feeling of survival.
Alright, I'm gonna run through my pack list, how I pack, all the gear that I normally use when I go on a new camping trip.
This is my food bag. The hammock. It's military pets. Absolutely awesome.
Same can be said for this bag. This is
My main belt knife,
which I will put all my gears into, and then
The football. Whether it was done in football.
To not doing anything in nature, and then I'm ready.
I have a stainless steel water, so I need to